Today I'm going to be reading National Geographic, Why Birds Matter by Jonathan Franzen. This is the January 2018 issue. The other articles include The Arctic's Last Sea Ice, The Science of Good and Evil, and The Healing of Columbia. Page 30. Page 30. Why birds matter. It's not just what they do for the environment, it's what they do for our souls. In 2018, we'll explore the world, the wonder of birds, and why we really can't live without them. By Jonathan Franzen, photographs by Joel Sartore. Superb parrots. Native to southeastern Australia, the bright green superb parrot is one of 10,000 bird species. Enlivening the planet, if you take care of the birds, says conservationalist Thomas Lovejoy, you take care of most of the problems in the world. The American flamingo. A flamingo comes into the world with white plumage. Its striking color derives from organic pigments called carotenoids in its diet of mollusks, crustaceans, and algae. Its bizarre beak makes more sense upside down, as it is when the bird is filter feeding, head inverted. The great hornbill, with its massive bill and casquet and wingspan approaching 6 feet. The great hornbill is king of the jungle skies in Southeast Asia. It adorns its black and white feathers with yellow-tinted oil secreted from a gland near its head. The that's interesting. That is not the color of his feathers. Their feathers are white and black. But this is a yellow tinted oil secreted by the glands. For most of my life, I didn't pay attention to birds. Only in my 40s did I become a person whose heart lifts when he hears a grosbeak singing or a towhee calling, and who hurries out to see a golden plover that's been reported in the neighborhood. Just because it's a beautiful bird with truly golden plumage and has flown all the way from Alaska. When someone asks me why birds are so important to me, all I could do is sigh and shake my head. I've been asked to explain why I love my brothers. As if I've been asked to explain why I love my brothers, and yet the question is a fair one, worth considering in the centennial year of America's Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Why do birds matter? My answer might begin with the vast scale of avian domain. If you could see every bird in the world, you'd see the whole world. Things with feathers can be found in every corner of every ocean, and land habitats so bleak that they're habitats for nothing else. Gray gulls raise their chicks in Chile's Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on earth. The year of the bird. In 1918, Congress passed the Migratory Bird Treaty Act to protect birds from wanton killing. To celebrate the centennial, National Geographic is partnering with the National Audubon Society, BirdLife International, and the Cornell Lab of Ornithology to declare 2018 the Year of the Bird. Watch for more stories, maps, books, events, and social media content throughout the year. Get the book. Birds of the Photo Ark, with photos by Joel Sator and text by Noel Stryker, will be available in April 2018 at shopng.com books. Western Rosella. This sociable western rosella of southwestern Australia is often seen foraging in pairs or small groups, damaging to fruit orchards they used to be shot as vermin. The species is now protected, but its numbers are still declining because of loss of habitat. And then there are the songs with which birds like us fill the world. Nightingales trill in the suburbs of Europe, thrushes in downtown Quito, huamis in Chengdu. Chickadees have a complex language for communicating, not only to each other, but to every bird in the neighborhood, and how safe or unsafe they feel from predators. Some leery birds in eastern Australia sing a tune their ancestors may have learned from a settler's flute nearly a century ago. If you shoot too many pictures of a leery bird, it will add the sound of your camera to its repertoire. But birds also do the things we wish we could do but can't, except in dreams. They fly. Eagles effortlessly ride thermals. Hummingbirds pause in mid-air. Quails burst into flight heart-stoppingly. Taken all together, the flight paths of birds bind the planet together like 100 billion filaments. Tree to tree and continent to continent, there was never a time when the world seemed large to them. After breeding, a European swift will stay aloft for nearly a year, flying to sub-Saharan Africa and back, eating and molting and sleeping on the wing without landing once. Young albatrosses spend as many as 10 years roving the open ocean before they first return to land to breed. Black-throated magpie jay. The raucous call of the black-throated magpie jay is a common sound in its native western Mexico. Magpies, crows, jays, and other corvids are highly intelligent birds. Magpies can recognize themselves in mirrors, and crows are adept tool makers. A bar-tailed godwit has been tracked flying non-stop from Alaska to New Zealand, 7,264 miles in 9 days, while a ruby-throated hummingbird may burn up a third of its tiny body weight to cross the Gulf of Mexico. The red knot, a small shorebird species, makes annual round trips between Tierra del Fuego and the Canadian Arctic. One long-lived individual named B95 for the tag on its leg has flown more miles than separate the Earth and the Moon. There is, however, one critical ability that human beings have and birds do not: mastery of their environment. Birds can't protect wetlands, can't manage a fishery, can't air condition their nest. They have only one instincts of physical abilities that evolution has bequeathed to them. These have served them well for a very long time, 150 million years longer than human beings have been around. But now human beings are changing the planet, its surface, its climate, its oceans, too quickly for birds to adapt to by evolving. Crows and gulls may thrive at our garbage dumps, blackbirds and cowbirds at the feedlots, robins and bulbuls in our city parks. But the future of most bird species depends on our commitment to preserving them. Are they valuable enough for us to make the effort? Value in the late Anthropocene has come almost exclusively to mean economic value, utility to human beings, and certainly many wild birds are usefully edible. Some of them, in turn, eat noxious insects and rodents. Many others perform vital roles, pollinating plants, spreading seeds, serving as food for mammalian predators. In ecosystems whose continuing wildness has touristic or carbon sequestering value, you may also hear it argued that bird populations function, like the proverbial coal mine canary, as important indicators of ecological health. But do we really need the absence of birds to tell us when a marsh is severely polluted, a forest slashed and burned, or a fishery destroyed? The sad fact is that wild birds in themselves will never pull their weight in the human economy. They want to eat our blueberries. What bird populations do usefully indicate the health of our ethical values? One reason that wild birds ought to matter, is that they are our last best connection to a natural world that is otherwise receding. They're the most vivid and widespread representatives of the earth, as it was before people arrived on it. They share descents with the largest animals ever to walk on the land. The house finch outside your window is a tiny and beautifully adapted living dinosaur. A duck at your local pond looks and sounds very much like a duck 20 million years ago. In the Miocene epoch, when birds ruled the planet, in ever a more artificial world, where featherless drones fill the air and angry birds can be simulated on our phones, we may see no reason to need to cherish and support the former rulers of the natural realm. But is economic calculation our highest standard? After Shakespeare's King Lear steps down from the throne, he pleads with his elder two daughters to grant him some vestige of his former majesty. When the daughters reply that they don't see the need for it, the old king bursts out, "Oh, reason, not need." To consign birds to oblivion is to forget what we're children of. The person who says it's too bad about the birds, but human beings come first, is making one of two implicit claims. The person may mean that human beings are no better than the other animal, that are fundamentally selfish selves, which are motivated by selfish genes, will always do whatever it takes to replicate our genes and to maximize our pleasure. The non-human world would be damned. This is the view of cynical realists to whom a concern for the other species is merely an annoying form of sentimentality. It is a view that can't be disproved, and it's available to anyone who doesn't mind admitting that he or she is hopelessly selfish. But human beings come first may also have the opposite meaning, that our species is uniquely worthy of monopolizing the world's resources because we are not like other animals. Because we have consciousness and free will and the capacity to remember our past and shape our future. The opposing views can be found among religious believers and secular humanists, and it is neither probably true nor probably false. But it does raise the question, if we are incomparably more worthy than our animals, shouldn't our ability to discern right from wrong and to knowingly sacrifice some small fraction for our convenience for a larger good make us more susceptible to the claims of nature rather than the less? Does a unique ability to carry with it a unique responsibility? Northern white-faced owl. The northern white-faced owl occupies a broad band of Africa below the Sahara. Like most owls, it is a superb nocturnal hunter with highly sensitive hearing and eyesight and special primary feathers that allow it to swoop in silently on unsuspecting prey. A few years ago, in a forest in northeast India, I heard and then began to feel in my chest a deep rhythmic whooshing. It sounded meteorological, but it was the wing beats of a pair of great hornbills flying in to land in a fruiting tree. They had massive yellow bills and hefty white thighs. They looked like a cross between a toucan and a giant panda. As they clambered around in the tree, placidly eating fruit, I found myself crying out with the rarest of all emotions, pure joy. It had nothing to do with what I wanted or what I possessed. It was the sheer gorgeous fact that the hornbill, which couldn't have cared less about me. The radical otherness of birds is integral to their beauty and their value. They are always among us, but never of us. They are the otherworldly dominating animals that evolution has produced, and their indifference to us ought to serve us as a chastening reminder that we are not the measure of all things. The stories we tell about the past and imagine for the future are mental constructions that the birds can do without. Birds live squarely in the present, and at present, although our cats and our windows and our pesticides kill billions of them every year, and although some species, particularly on oceanic islands, have been lost forever, their world is still very much alive. In every corner of the globe, in nests as small as walnuts or as large as haystacks, chicks are pecking through their shells into the light. The gift of song. Wake up early enough almost anywhere, and you will be treated to some tunes from songbirds which make up almost half of the world's avian species. Unlike instinctual calls, the extravagantly complex pitch, rhythm, and structure of true songbirds must be learned early in life and can vary logically within a species. Superb leribird. Australia's superb leribird is a masterful mimic. To attract a male riffs on the calls of other birds in the forest while shaking its splendid tail feathers overhead. Captive birds have been recorded aping the sounds of chainsaws, car alarms, and camera shutters. Kirkland's warbler. Central Michigan's rare Kirkland's warbler depends on natural fires to promote the strands of young jack pines it needs for nesting. Males arrive first at their usual breeding grounds in spring and begin to sing to establish territories and attract incoming females. The painted bunting, looking as if it has splashed around for a while in a child's watercolor box. The painted bunting is fairly common songbird of Mexico and the southeastern United States. During mating season, males often sing back and forth to each other in a territorial duet called countersinging. Prothonotary warbler. In the swamp forest of the southeastern U.S., the persistent tweet, tweet, tweet of the prothonotary warbler can be heard from high in the trees in summer. This species migrates early in spring from Central America and northern South America. Tailored to the task. The shape of a beak tells a poignant story of each bird's evolution and survival, and helps us to understand its place in the world, writes Noah Stryker in Birds of the Photo Arc. A sparrow's sturdy triangular beak packs the power to crack seeds, while a hawk's sharp hooked beak makes short work of prey. Secretary bird. With its outlandishly long legs and fierce demeanor, the secretary bird of the African savanna looks like a cross between a crane and an eagle. Its hooked beak is all raptor. White-headed duck. Endangered, the white-headed duck is native to Spain, North Africa, and Central Asia. The flat beaks of ducks typically have soft edges for sensing food in the water and comb-like lamellae inside to sieve out insects, seeds, and other morsels. The king penguin. Perfect for spearing small fish and squid, a king penguin's beak sports orange and yellow patches that reflect ultraviolet light but cannot see. But they can. Males and females share this trait and appear to judge prospective mates in part by the intensity of the UV light beckoning from their beaks. Wow. Long-billed curlew. With a wingspan that can approach 3 feet, the long-billed curlew is North America's largest shorebird. In winter, it employs its eponymous feature to probe for shrimp and crab in Mexican tidal mudflats, and in summer it has used its bill to seek burrowing worms in pastures of the western United States. From finery to flight, feathers first appeared not on birds but on dinosaurs long before birds evolved. Even some early Tyrannosaurus sported primitive ones. Dinosaur feathers were likely used for insulation or display. More complex feathers specialized for flight took birds. The sole remaining dinosaur lineage to new heights. Malayan peacock pheasant. Nearly half of male Malayan peacock pheasants, 20-inch average length, devoted to its tail, which it rises and spreads out in a splendid fan to impress females. Its range and numbers have declined dramatically as its lowland forest habitats have been cleared for cultivation. Birds were not the first to evolve head ornamentation. Both dinosaurs and even more distant relative, the Petrosaurus, had them. But today's birds display a remarkable variety of crowns and crests. used to attract mates and intimidate rivals, left to right from top. Red fan parrots, blue-crowned pigeon, Major Mitchell's cockatoo, palm cockatoo, and black-crowned crane. Vermilion cardinal. Like its North American cousin, the vermilion cardinal of Colombia and Venezuela is an irresistible eye-catcher. Only more so, the male's feathers are even redder, and it holds its long, spiky crest aloft nearly all the time. The males sing and flaunt their finery from conspicuous perches in early morning. For the benefit of all, beyond the sheer joy they provide, birds display a vital role in the environment, pollinating plants, dispersing seeds, controlling insects, and removing rotting flesh. The future of birds and us are intertwined more than we know, writes photographer Joel Satori in Birds of the Photo Arc. We soar or plummet together. Cape vulture. Vultures are hardly the most lovable birds, and they're ugly, they're big, and they eat disgusting things in disgusting ways. But without them to clean up the carrion, insect populations would soar, and diseases with them. This trio of Cape vultures is native to South Africa. Mommy's baby.